Right now, a busy street in Des Moines is closed because of an unexpected discovery. Crews found issues with the sewer system under University Avenue.
Exploring the depths of mud around the globe may not appear exciting at first. Yet beneath slimy surfaces lie incredible discoveries waiting to be revealed. Scientists and researchers searching through the mud discovered a treasure trove of strange and unexpected artifacts hidden in the dirt. These findings have sent our brains racing with questions and excitement, from surprising artifacts to strange phenomena that defy explanation. The mud hides a universe of wonders waiting to be discovered. Join us as we delve deep into the most unexpected discoveries found in the mud that shocked even the U.S. authorities. Number 1. The greatest treasure ever found. In 1992, a farmer's misplaced hammer led to the discovery of the greatest stash of Roman treasure ever discovered in Britain. While searching for his hammer in Hoxton, Suffolk, England, Eric Laws discovered silver spoons, gold jewelry, and a hoard of almost 15,000 gold and silver coins dating back to the 4th century CEE. The massive hoard includes exquisitely crafted household items such as pepper pots, silver bowls, and highly decorated jewelry reflecting Roman craftsmen's expert metalworking skills. Coins comprise most of the treasure, including approximately 569 gold solidi minted across the Roman Empire.
Under his leadership, the Roman Empire reaches its greatest territorial extent, 2 million square miles.
From Constantinople to Italy, how did such a magnificent collection of Roman finery wind up buried in the English countryside? Historians believe it was concealed for safekeeping during a difficult period, when the Romans abandoned Britain around 48 AD. The affluent owner likely buried the trove to return later, but perished before collecting it. This discovery shocked archaeologists, but the next discovery made them think about how well this preservation is being done. Number 2. The Tolland Man. Few archaeological artifacts capture the imagination like the Tolland Man. Discovered in 1950 in a peat bog on Denmark's Jutland Peninsula, this exceptionally well-preserved bog body fascinates over 70 years later. Tolland Man lived in the 4th century BCE during the Iron Age, and because of the preserving powers of peat bogs, his body tissue, facial features, and even his last meal were all intact. His peaceful appearance, eyes closed as if sleeping, conceals the terrible nature of his death, which indicates that the Tolland Man was ritually sacrificed. A braided leather noose wrapped around his neck indicates hanging and possibly strangulation, and his last meal of porridge suggests he was killed after fasting for his final day. Tolland's radiocarbon dating coincided with a period when human sacrifice peaked in Iron Age Europe, and his remains point to death by ritual sacrifice, possibly as an offering to gods during difficult times. Aside from these sad details, the Tolland Man's superb preservation provides glimpses into his life and the people of his time, from his well-kept nails to the stubble on his chin. Archaeologists learned about his looks, food, and even the textile technique in his culture. The discovery of the Tolland Man left a shocking and confusing impact on the mind, but this next discovery was even more unbelievable and shocking. Number 3. The Croghan Man. In 2003, the well-preserved remains of a young man were discovered in an Irish bog. This was not a contemporary murder victim. As he became known, the old Croghan Man was an Iron Age bog body dating back more than 2,000 years. His remains bore witness to a tragic demise with evidence of a violent death, but they also provided a revealing glimpse into the distant past. In Italy, the old Croghan Man was buried in a peat bog around 350 to 175 BCE during the Iron Age, and the dry, acidic conditions preserved his remains in astonishing detail, from his hands to his knees and nipples. The minute details of his physiology were obvious. According to analysis, he was a tall man in his early 20s who was in good health at the time of his death. Further investigation revealed disturbing details concerning the old Croghan Man's death. He had wounds drilled through his upper arms, indicating that he was pinned down before being executed. His nipples were also sliced, indicating torture. He was later decapitated and dismembered. The term overkill refers to punishment for a significant offense or human sacrifice. Human sacrifice was common in the Iron Age, involving burying butter to preserve it. Number 4. The millennia-year-old butter. Humans have enjoyed butter throughout nations for millennia. This rich, golden fat adorned ancient feasts, bringing taste and nutrients to bread, vegetables, and meats. Strangely, some butter was buried in bogs, maybe for preservation or religious purposes. In 2016, a 22-pound lump of bog butter from the Iron Age was discovered in Ireland. This fatty trisure was contained in a wooden container discovered in a bog in County Meath. Similar bog butters have been discovered before, but this Iron Age specimen is the largest and oldest on record, according to radiocarbon dating, and its vessel style suggests it was buried during the Celtic era. The original motivations behind the creation of bog butter are unclear. Many people who come up with different theories claim that food products were buried in bogs to prevent the chance of rotting. The peat bogs are the sites with the ideal conditions for the botanical remains due to their cool, low oxygen, and acidic environments. Researcher Daniel C. Fisher's experiments showed that meat kept in peat bogs for up to 2 years was equal in bacterial readings and pathogens to meat stored in a modern freezer. It seems that this could be a viable preservation method. Bog butter is still edible today due to the acids and the lack of oxygen in the depths of the bogs. These natural refrigeration methods ensure the food is kept safe. This conclusion reinforces the point that the ancient Celts used bogs to preserve perishable items, such as butter, for later time. The huge size suggests it was a community butter reserve rather than one for a single farm. It may have been buried as a religious offering or to provide a dairy store for lean times. Analysis suggests the butter was obtained from cow's milk, demonstrating animal husbandry techniques of the period. This tank discovery shocked archaeologists as it reminded us of the Lover's Day. Number 5. The Grauballe Man. In the pit bogs of Grauballe, Denmark, an extraordinary discovery that would rock the archaeology world to its core was uncovered. In 1952, a group of peat diggers were going about their usual business, gathering pits from the bogs, when they came across what seemed to be a recently murdered victim buried in the mud. However, this was no ordinary body. The Grauballe Man, as he became known, was a well-preserved mummy from the Iron Age nearly 2,000 years ago. The preservation quality was remarkable. Face features, hair, and even fingerprints were preserved. It felt as if he had died only yesterday. This extraordinary preservation was due to the peat bog's unusual conditions, which practically mummified the body. The very acidic, low-oxygen environment halted, decomposed, and left the man gradually in hibernation for 1,000 years. Examination of the remains revealed a bleak picture of his death. His neck had been cut so deeply that his head was nearly chopped up, indicating a sacrificial death during the Iron Age. It is believed that human sacrifice was practiced as part of religious rituals, so gradually, man could have met such an end. His last meal, a porridge of grains and seeds, was kept in his stomach, and additional information was provided. Gradually, man continues to captivate archaeologists and historians. Today, his discovery has significantly changed our view of Iron Age Europeans, including their physical appearance, dress, food, and even spiritual traditions requiring sacrifice. Number 6. The mammoths found in the mud. The frozen ground of ancient Alaska. Once shock beneath the feet of gigantic woolly mammoths, towering Ice Age beasts, wrapped in thick fur coats, and equipped with long, curved ivory tusks. Even 10,000 years later, relics of these Ice Age behemoths emerge from their graves. In 2022, a gigantic mammoth female bone was found in Alaskan soil. Flooding and heavy winds revealed this beautiful artifact on a remote Alaskan shore. A local couple, Joseph and Andrea Nasuk, discovered the exposed bone while hiking to assess storm damage. After attempting to pull the massive femur from the dirt, it was propped upright and reached Andrea's waist height. Its overwhelming enormity became obvious as it measured 46 inches long and weighed 62 pounds. The study confirms this massive femur as belonging to an old woolly mammoth that lived in Alaska around 10,000 years ago during the Pleistocene era before becoming extinct. Despite its age, the mammoth thigh bone was amazingly undamaged. Its massive size and near-perfect preservation make it an incredibly unusual find. Investigation indicates a circumference of 34.5 inches at its widest point, indicating a mammoth of imposing proportions. The bone's coloration and mineralization reflect the passage of millennia spent entombed in the Alaskan ground before their recent discovery by the hurricane. The discovery was exciting, as finding the extinct creature shed light on some unknown facts about them. This next one could be more beautiful. Number 7. The perfect remains of the Lindow Man. In 1984, the Lindow Man's wonderfully preserved remains were discovered in a peat bog in Cheshire, England. It dates back about 2,000 years to the mid-1st century AD. This Iron Age man lived for millennia thanks to the peculiar conditions of his watery graveyard, which preserved his bodily tissues, skin, beard, stubble, and even fingerprints. He remains one of the best preserved bog bodies ever discovered in Britain. Lindow died a very horrific triple death around the age of 25. An investigation suggests he was beaten in the head, strangled with a cord, and had his neck cut. This violent treatment suggests ritual sacrifice, a practice common in Iron Age Europe. Druids may have offered him as a sacrifice to satisfy their gods. His large Adam's apple and well-groomed nails suggest he possessed great social rank before this horrific death. This discovery shows how brutally the Lindow Man died, while this next discovery dates back to the 17th century, and how it was preserved had the archaeologists thinking. Number 8. The massive battleship that sank. On its maiden voyage, a massive battleship sank to the bottom of Stockholm Harbor on August 10, 1628. The ill-fated ship was the Vasa, now one of the best-preserved 17th-century vessels ever discovered. It is a time capsule for maritime history. The ornately decorated ship was created as the crown jewel of King Gustavus Adolf's naval fleet at the height of Sweden's imperial strength, but due to its top-heavy construction, it sank 1,300 meters into its voyage and landed on the port floor. In 1961, the unusually undamaged wreck of the Vasa was raised from the seabed, with its massive hull and complex wood carvings depicting characters such as lions and warriors. The discovery of this 330-year-old ship was both a technical marvel and an archaeological treasure trove. The chilly Baltic waters have kept it in astonishingly good condition, with more than 95% of the ship intact. Studying the Vasa provides valuable insights into 17th-century ship architecture, sailing, and even the lives and deaths of the crew. Everything from bows and arrows to combs and wine containers was discovered on board this incredible time capsule. Today, the Vasa Museum in Stockholm allows visitors to feel the majesty of this 17th-century masterpiece, which has come back to life after over 3 centuries in darkness on the seafloor. This shocking discovery gave insight into how well the preservation was done, but this next discovery was gruesome. Number 9. The ill-fated Elling Woman. In 1938, a fortunate discovery in a peat bog in Denmark revealed the well-preserved remains of a lady from the distant past. This ancient bog body became known as the Elling Woman, dating back around 2,300 years to approximately 280 BC during the Iron Age. The Elling Woman's remains provide a rare glimpse into the lives and deaths of Northern Europeans in the late Bronze Age. The peat bog provided excellent conditions to prevent decay. Thus, fine details such as her fingernails, nose, and hair, as well as the braided bands and shawl covering her body, were preserved, as were the contents of her stomach. Analyzing her stomach contents revealed a crude porridge, possibly her last meal. Further investigation reveals that the Elling Woman died at the age of about 16 years. She had scoliosis, a curvature of the spine. The noose around her neck suggests a ritual death by hanging or strangulation. This gruesome death was shockingly common in Iron Age Europe. Some experts speculate that she was slaughtered as a sacrifice to the gods to reverse a run of bad luck in her society. Aside from these sad details, The Elling woman's remains reveal a wealth of information about the Iron Age, people's health, nutrition, appearance, and textile technology. As one of the best preserved specimens from this period, she continues to rebuild and bring to life a little understood period of prehistory in Northern Europe. The discovery shows how the Elling woman must have died, and the remains still had the archaeologists wondering how the preservation was done. Now, this next discovery is something we have all been waiting to know more about. Number 10. The discovery of the long-lost dinosaur. Foot trails transport back 230 million years to when the footsteps of dinosaurs echoed throughout Scotland's Islay of Skye, where paleontologists discovered over 50 preserved dinosaur prints, providing insight into these formidable beasts and their behavior. 2 unique track types were discovered, demonstrating that plant-eating and meat-eating dinosaurs inhabited this area. The first prints were found on a 4-legged, 10-meter-long sauropodomorph, an early ancestor, hugely long-necked sauropod during the Middle Triassic period. Meanwhile, tridactyl prints with pointed claw impressions indicated a theropod dinosaur. These are some of the longest theropod tracks ever discovered in Scotland, measuring 50 centimeters long. While the species is unknown, the footprint characteristics match recognized theropods such as T-Rex. These Middle Triassic tracks depict massive dinosaurs that lived before the development of later behemoths such as Diplodocus and Brachiosaurus. Recording the movements of these pioneering dinosaurs reveals fascinating insights regarding evolution and mobility millions of years ago. Every mark tells a tale, making paleontologists work like reading books about Earth's ancient occupants, one footprint at a time. The dinosaurs were extinct creatures. The footprints left behind allowed archaeologists to study their evolution, but the next discovery was less encouraging. Number 11. The Wide Girl. In 1897, an awful discovery was made in a peat bog in the Netherlands. The remains of a girl thought to have been murdered centuries before. However, this was not a concurrent crime. The Wide Girl, as she became known, was a bog body from the pre-Roman Iron Age some 2,000 years ago. Because of the peculiar preserving properties of peat bogs, her remains were in extraordinary shape, with hair, skin, nails, and even brain matter still intact. According to the examination, the Wide Girl was in her late teens when she died, and tree ring dating of the oak wood on her cape pinpointed the year she was deposited in the bog to around 54 BCE. But how did she get there? A 3-meter braided leather belt wrapped tightly around her neck conveyed the story of strangulation, most likely as part of a ceremonial sacrifice. The Edie girl's skin and hair were reddish, leading others to believe she was a witch. This color was merely caused by chemicals in the peat bog. Most of her teeth and hair had been pulled from her skull. The peat-cutting tools had also been reported to have severely damaged the body. Her distinctive haircut and sheepskin cape shed light on Iron Age clothes and culture, albeit her story ended tragically. There was also a stab wound in the area of her collarbone, but this was determined not to be the cause of death. It is thought that she may have died while unconscious, as defensive wounds were absent on the hand that was recovered from the body, unlike a similar case in Germany, the Kaihausen boy, who had a cut on his left hand from an apparent defense attempt. The Wide Girl still plays an important role in recreating European society. Her remains represent a unique time capsule from 2,000 years ago, giving us a look into the distant past. The Wide Girl takes the archaeologists back to the Iron Age, showing them how to do things. And this is also the next discovery. Number 12. The ceremonial tree. In 1998, an unexplained circle of wood formed beneath the waters at a residence near the sea in Norfolk, England, and became known as a Seahenge. This construction resembled the famed Stonehenge site, although there were significant variances. Seahenge's wooden parts date back to roughly 2050 BCE, during the Bronze Age. The design was based on an inverted tree stump with oak posts arranged neatly in a half-round configuration along the coast. Archaeologists suggest it functioned as a place for ritual ceremonies about the burial of bodies and respect for the dead. The stump, might be pointing to the sky, indicating that the deceased is experiencing a journey to the next world. Hengje stood there briefly before its submersion. In the water caused people to ponder whether its wood should be used to find construction ideas or whether it should be left literally intact as a wonder. Ultimately, some advocate using parts for study and display, while others backwardly ask to maintain the monument in the same condition. It has not yet been revealed what Hengje signifies, but it presents exceptional evidence that during the Renaissance age in Britain, religious beliefs, systems of thought, and construction methods were very complex. Our brief glimpse of this mysterious wooden circle reveals the potential for even more fascinating archaeological treasures still lying undiscovered beneath the waves. This discovery had archaeologists thinking about what could be hidden in the mud. Number 13. The oldest wooden scripture. In 1894, Russian gold prospectors uncovered a relic that shocked archaeologists: the Shigar idol, which had survived 11,500 years. This wooden figurine is a reminder of the prehistoric world and Mesolithic hunter-gatherer culture. The larch-carved statue was discovered 5 meters deep in a peat bog in western Siberia's Sverdlovsk area. One of the most impressive artifacts is the Shigar idol, which stands over 9 meters tall and has a humanoid figure with its face eroded. However, the prominent geometrical features are well preserved. The craft's surface is decorated in ways not present in past or present artworks. Some researchers speculate that these engravings were meant to convey a lost language or a symbolic code. The function of the idol is difficult to speculate on, but it might have been used in some rituals. Based on radiocarbon dating, the Shigar idol is estimated to have been made around 96,000 BCE in the Holocene era, which precedes agriculture in the Fertile Crescent. This remains the oldest surviving large wooden sculpture known to man, which is more than double the age of the Egyptian pyramids. The idol's longevity over 12 millennia is attributed to the bog conditions that kept the wood. This antique artifact offered a compelling look into archaic societies' spiritual lives and advanced cutting skills using simple flint tools. The Shigar idol symbolizes an unrivaled link to our distant ancestral history. This discovery had archaeologists wondering what else could be hidden in the mud, and they did not know that the next discovery was even more shocking than the earlier ones. In the picture on your screen, you'll see a bunch of experts examining and extracting a massive object that looks like an armored tank from the mud. How did something so large get buried underneath mud? Well, some kids were playing by a faraway lake in Estonia when they spotted strange bubbles coming up from the murky water. Intrigued, they told their parents, who decided to investigate. What they found was incredible. A World War II artifact lost for more than 60 years. It was a Soviet-made T-34 tank, perfectly preserved, with its nose buried in the mud by the shore. Despite being underwater for so long, it looked like it had just been abandoned yesterday, making the mystery of how it got there even more intriguing. The recovery team couldn't believe their eyes. After being freed from the thick mud, the massive steel tank's systems still worked, defying all expectations. The fate of its crew remained a tragic puzzle. What are your thoughts on this fascinating discovery? Let us know in the comments below. Number 14. The mysterious ancient stone. In New Mexico's desert lies an ancient mystery carved into the Los Lunas Decalogue stone. This huge rock includes an ancient Semitic inscription resembling the Ten Commandments. Archaeologist Frank Hibben presented one theory. The script was a form of prehistoric Hebrew dating from 500 BCE to 1200 CE. This generated debate about ancient Hebrew connections with North America centuries before Christopher Columbus. The stone's origins are still debated. Some academics think its script resembles Phoenician characters, while others believe it is a 19th or 20th century fabrication designed to seem like Hebrew. Translations of the inscription also differ since its spelling only totally corresponds with recognized language, with additional confirming evidence. The stone's exact origins still need to be determined. The Los Lunas Decalogue stone raises many doubts about who carved it, when they carved it, and what link they had to Hebrew cultures. It is tempting to suppose that it supports pre-Columbian communication between Eurasia and America, but its proponents are actively fighting charges that it is simply a modern hoax. Until more evidence emerges, the lost Lunastone remains an archaeological mystery hidden in the desert. This mysterious stone still raises questions about the connection with the Hebrews for archaeologists, while a similar stone was also discovered in Kensington. Number 15. The engraved runestone. In 1898, a stone unearthed in Kensington, Minnesota, ignited a long-burning controversy. Olof Oman, a local Swedish immigrant, discovered an engraved slab filled with runic writing while clearing his land. The ancient stone appears inscribed with a record from Viking explorers in 1362 and bears the signature of several men. If genuine, it would rewrite the timeline for European arrival in North America centuries before Columbus. But is it authentic? Linguistic experts have debated whether the Kensington runestone's runes match known 14th century usage. Meanwhile, geologists have spotted problematic weathering inconsistencies. Skeptical scholars lean toward dismissal as a 19th century hoax, but defenders counter that some weathering evidence favors the stone's antiquity. They see the runes as proof Vikings penetrated Minnesota's heartland in 1362, and the Kensington runestone is a testament to that forgotten journey. After over a century of contention, the fierce debate still rages on, but there is no consensus either way yet until more definitive proof arises. The Kensington runestone persists as an archaeological mystery, hoax, or history. The answer continues to elude historians while igniting the imaginations of those who want to believe. A shocking discovery of a reptile turtle was made, and archaeologists wondered about turtles' evolution. Number 16. The reptile turtle. The discovery of Odontochelys semitestacea shocked the paleontological world. Unearthed in China's Guizhou region, this 220-million-year-old fossil is the oldest known turtle, the transitional turtle, returning to the Triassic period. Odontochelys has a mix of basic reptile and evolved turtle features, making it a missing link in turtle evolution. Unlike modern turtles, Odontochelys did not have a whole top shell. It had a partially completed bottom shell known as a plastron, but when its spine was exposed, paleontologists discovered that it also had teeth, unlike modern turtles with beaks. This mix of primordial reptilian characteristics and early turtle markers identifies it as an intermediary stage between reptiles and turtles. Odontochelys highlights how the turtle shell evolved from flattened ribs. Its semi-shell also proves the hypothesis that shells evolved not for protection, but for burrowing. This remarkable discovery demonstrates that turtles appeared 40 million years earlier than previously assumed. Odontochelys fills a significant gap in the path of evolution of one of the world's oldest reptile groups, changing the history of these enduring species. This next discovery shows the armies of Emperor Qin Shi Huang and how loyal these soldiers were to their emperor. Number 17. The Buried Army. The Terracotta Army was discovered near the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, making it one of the most incredible archaeological discoveries ever. This mind-blowing discovery was uncovered by chance in 1974, when farmers constructing a well near the city of Xi'an came upon parts of terracotta, which led to a large excavation site showing thousands of life-size terracotta soldiers lined up in battle formation and buried in heaps. The sheer scale of the Terracotta Army is amazing. Over 8,000 warriors have been discovered thus far. Historian Sima Qian, 145-90 BCE, described the tomb's construction in the Records of the Grand Historian, the first of China's 24 dynastic histories, written a century after the mausoleum's completion. Each soldier has meticulously sculpted and distinct facial features modeled by actual warriors who served the emperor. The army was established in approximately 210 BC to protect Qin Shi Huang in the afterlife. The Terracotta Army consists of thousands of lifelike terracotta horses, chariots, archers, cavalry, and command posts that act as guards in the tomb of the first emperor to turn away ghosts and evil spirits. These soldiers were buried in deep trenches surrounding the emperor's grave, fighting ready. Among the top finds is equipment such as swords, lances, and arrowheads, of which the majority are corroded. The remains of this splendid army found in a single pit have resulted from investigations that lasted more than 40 years, despite having been hidden underground for more than 2,000 years before being rediscovered and exposed again. Thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. See you there.